war, where automatic weaponry is commonly deployed at the squad level, charging across no man's land to initiate a punch-up seems ludicrous. Sometimes, however, this is the only way to deal with infantry that's entrenched in a strong defensive position. Just like shooting, close quarters has a procedure of steps to be taken to resolve the order correctly. Declare target. The player indicates the unit that is initiating an assault and declares the target unit to be charged. The assaulting unit must have line of sight to the target. If the target unit is inside a building, then the building must be seen by the assaulting unit. This means that units off the battlefield cannot initiate assaults. This includes units in reserve and units aboard vehicles as well. If the assaulting unit has pin markers, make an order test as normal. Measure move distance. Measure the closest point between the two units to calculate the distance required to travel. If impassable terrain is in the path, then of course measure around it if possible. This includes all vehicles, though friendly infantry and artillery units may be moved through, as long as at the end of the movement at least a 1-inch gap can be drawn between them. If the assaulting unit starts its move on rough ground, or has to cross rough ground or an obstacle in order to reach the target, a run order is still issued, but its movement will be reduced to 6 inches. If the distance is greater than the maximum run movement of the assaulting unit, the assault fails. Move the assaulting unit as far as it can go, always being mindful of the 1-inch gap required between itself and all other units. Target reacts. If at least one model of the assaulting unit can touch the closest target unit's model, then the assault is successful. But before any miniatures are moved, the defending player is allowed to decide if the assaulted unit will initiate reaction fire. If it has not been issued an order die, then it may be given a fire order. If the assaulted unit has pin markers, it does not need to make an order test, as the urgency of the situation galvanizes all soldiers to shoot for all they're worth. In 2nd edition, this was known as stand and shoot. This reaction shooting is resolved immediately, so calculate any shooting modifiers according to the situation before the assaulting unit moves. Follow the shooting procedure, and if any models are left standing, proceed with the next step in close quarters. Note that if the assault is initiated from a distance of 6 inches or less, the target cannot perform reaction fire. The enemy is just too close and gets the drop on the defenders. If an ambush order is present on the defending unit, then as usual, the shooting may be initiated at any point before actual close quarters combat is resolved, including if the attacking unit started within 6 inches. Another important thing to note is if an assaulting unit initiates a charge outside of a fixed weapon's arc of fire, then it cannot react or execute an ambush. Move assaulting models. Move as many models from the assaulting unit into direct base-to-base contact with the target unit's models. Any models that cannot cover the distance required for this should be in contact with models in their own unit that are, or at least are moved as close as possible to the enemy. This is the only time that models from opposing units may be deliberately moved to touch, as normally the 1-inch gap rule must be observed. Try to keep models 1 inch away from enemy units not involved if they are nearby to prevent any potential confusion. If attacking a unit that is behind an obstacle, such as a low stone wall or hedge, then place the models as close to the enemy in contact with the obstacle. They will still exchange blows in such a scenario, though the defenders do benefit in this situation, as we shall see shortly. Fight the first round of close quarters combat. Resolving assaults between infantry and artillery units will be detailed here, as vehicle assaults will be explained later in the tutorial. Both the attackers and defenders roll to damage each other simultaneously. Rolls to hit are skipped, as close quarters combat is swift and brutal. Hits are automatic. Each model receives 1 die to roll to wound. The number needed to inflict a wound depends on the target's veterancy, just like in the shooting procedure. Units with the Tough Fighters special rule may re-roll any missed attack once. This differs from 2nd edition, where Tough Fighters rolled again if they hit. Cover saves and pin markers are ignored in close quarters, as are weapon special rules, apart from the Assault special rule, which grants the model the Tough Fighter's ability. Though there are no rules specifically for grenades in bolt action, it is assumed they are deployed both offensively and defensively in close combat.
Put a grenade in there! Fancy a pineapple, Jerry? Put that in your pipe and smoke it!
If the defending unit is behind an obstacle, or the attacking unit has to cross rough ground to initiate the assault, then things are resolved a little differently. In such a case, the defender resolves all rolls to wound first, and the attacker must remove any casualties before their unit gets to roll for wounds. This simulates the attacker's momentary vulnerability as they close the distance over difficult footing, and the defenders lurk behind cover, ready to spring forth at the last moment. Note, however, that if the defender is in this situation but also has a down order, then this advantage is cancelled, as they must pick themselves up before engaging the enemy, thus losing initiative. For every wound sustained, remove one model as a casualty. The side that has caused the most casualties in the round of close quarters is the winner. The losing unit is destroyed and removed, including its order die. Any survivors are assumed to be taken prisoner, fled the fight, or otherwise been rendered combat ineffective for the rest of the battle. Naturally, with simultaneous rolls, it is possible to destroy both units involved. Remove them both from the battlefield and their order dice. In any case, close quarter combat applies no pin markers to the surviving unit. Resolve draws. If neither side causes more casualties than the other, the result is a draw. Another round of close quarters is fought by the survivors and is always simultaneous, even if the defender is in cover. Keep rolling rounds of close quarters combat until either a winner has been established or both parties are destroyed. Hand-to-hand combat is always lethal and decisive in bolt action. Winner regroups. After the vanquished unit has been removed, the winning unit may make a special regroup move. This is an out-of-sequence move so that the unit may be put back into cohesion and hopefully reposition itself to a more defensible position. A unit making a regroup move rolls one die and can move each model that many inches, making sure to get within 1 inch of each other. A regroup move does not allow for mounting transports, exiting the battlefield, or entering buildings, unless of course the unit assaulted the building's occupants. Infantry have the option, however daunting, to assault vehicles, armoured or otherwise. This works in a similar way to assaults as already described, though with a few changes. After declaring the assault, if the target to be attacked is a fully enclosed armoured vehicle, then a special order test must be made with a -3 modifier, in addition to any other modifiers such as pin markers. This is known as tank fear, and reflects the soldier's reluctance to rush a well-nigh impregnable armoured fighting vehicle. Note that if the unit assaulting the vehicle has the Tank Hunter's special rule, then this order test is not made, as the unit is equipped with anti-tank grenades or Molotov cocktails to properly deal with such a target. The test is also ignored if the armoured vehicle is open-topped, as a well-placed anti-personnel grenade can quickly neutralize a threat of this kind. If a vehicle has been given a run order, it is moving too fast for the assaulting infantry unit to attack.
Are you crazy?
If it has been immobilized after a run order has been given, then it should have its order die flipped to down immediately upon receiving the effect. In such a case, the vehicle may in fact be assaulted. Vehicles also receive the option to initiate reaction fire, keeping in mind arcs of fire and the direction of the assaulting infantry. Once this has been resolved, move all models from the attacking unit as close as possible to the vehicle. Once movement has been resolved, each attacking model receives a 1 roll to hit the vehicle. The Tough Fighter's special rule only applies against enemy infantry and artillery, so is ignored for assaults on vehicles. The number required to hit the vehicles varies. If the vehicle currently has no order, or the down, fire, or rally order, then a 4+ is needed to hit. If the vehicle currently has the advance order, then a 6 is needed to hit. A moving target is harder to hit after all. In any case, no modifiers are applied to this hit roll, so do not expect any benefit from charging a tank from the rear or sides. Keep track of each successful hit, as then a single die roll is made with a +1 modifier to the roll for each successful hit. This number needs to equal or exceed the attacked vehicle's damage value. These hits do not apply pin markers, though any roll on the damage tables will, however. For example, an 8-man section assaults a medium tank whose damage value is 9. It has moved with an advance order. Keeping in mind that the greatest number a single die can generate is 6, a minimum of 3 hits is required to damage the tank, and a hit against the moving vehicle requires a 6. Not the best chance to put a dent in the Wehrmacht's war machine. If the vehicle is a soft skin or is an open-topped armoured vehicle, then it is destroyed automatically if damage is scored. so no roll on either of the armoured vehicle damage tables is required. If the vehicle is a fully enclosed armoured vehicle and takes damage, then roll on the appropriate damage table. Remember, if the roll equals the vehicle's damage value, then a superficial damage roll is made. If it is beaten by 1 or 2, then a full damage roll is made. If it is beaten by 3 or more, then roll twice on the full damage table, resolving the highest result first. If the assaulting unit does not have the Tank Hunter special rule, then always roll on the superficial damage table, no matter how much the damage value was beaten by. An interesting and easy to forget addition to 3rd edition is the fact that if a vehicle is immobilized by an infantry assault, the crew must make an immediate morale test. If failed, they panic and surrender, and the vehicle counts as being knocked out. Being destroyed, the vehicle's order die is also removed from the game. Once the assault has been resolved, move the infantry with a regroup move if the vehicle survived the attack. Otherwise, they stay put. Armoured vehicles may also make an assault move to crush or scatter infantry and artillery units. To be specific, tanks and only tanks can perform an assault move. A tank for the purposes of this rule is a fully enclosed armoured vehicle that is fully tracked. Assault guns and some tank destroyers fall under this category. Soft skins, armoured cars and carriers, or open-topped armoured vehicles cannot make an assault move. To perform an assault move, the tank must be given a run order and must move at least half of its run speed, which means it may well end up beyond the location of its target. If other enemy units are in the tank's path, they are also assaulted. If friendly units are in its path, then an assault cannot be initiated. Units that can feasibly damage the tank, such as a bazooka or Panzerschreck team, may initiate reaction fire if the tank begins its assault more than 6 inches away. Move the tank to the closest target, if more than one are present. As soon as contact is made, the target must make a morale test. If it is failed, the unit panics and scatters, or is crushed beneath the tank's treads. It counts as destroyed and is removed from play. If it succeeds, it breaks up and quickly reforms to allow the vehicle to pass through. Should the tank's final destination landed on a unit, then move the unit so that it is at least 1 inch away from the tank. Repeat this process until all targets have been resolved. Note that an artillery unit assaulted by a tank is automatically destroyed. The crew abandon their post before they too are crushed. Tanks, as defined earlier, can also assault other vehicles. If a tank's target for such an assault is another armoured vehicle of any kind, then it must first make a special morale test with a -3 modifier, otherwise the commander thinks better of it. If successful, then move the tank to make physical contact with the target vehicle with a run order. Roll a die for each vehicle and add their damage value to the roll. The highest roll wins, meaning the losing vehicle is damaged. In the case of soft skins, they are immediately destroyed and removed from the game. An armoured vehicle rolls on the full damage table if its damage value is less than or equal to the winning vehicle's damage value. If it has a greater damage value than the winner of the roll, then it rolls on the superficial damage table. Mind that even if it wins the roll, a vehicle with a lower damage value assaulting a vehicle with a higher damage value must also roll on the superficial damage table.
You got that?
Regardless of the outcome, surviving vehicles also take 1 pin marker, and, if both survive, move them 1 inch apart. Though it doesn't explicitly mention it in the rulebook, it does make sense to bump the loser back 1 inch to maintain distance. It's up to you. Survivors are also given the down order, even if they have been given an order die or not. And this concludes the tutorial on close quarters combat. Thank you for watching this far, and remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Consider directly supporting the channel by becoming a patron like these fine folks here. Patreon link on screen now and in the description box below.